and welcome back. Today I'll be talking to you about my Hohner Bass 3. This is an all-plastic bass synthesizer that came out in the late 60s to early 70s by the Hohner company in Germany. What makes this model unique is the body design is actually of a Bass 2, with this weird olive green plastic body and the rounded top. The Bass 3 is a black leatherette body, which has a much more rectangular, square shape to it. The black version of the Bass 3 is the most common version you'll see of the bass lineup from Hohner. This in-between model I've only seen once or twice online, and I'm not sure when it specifically dates or when they switched over to doing the all-black design. I suspect this is like how Fender Rhodes were made, as they would use up all the remaining parts before switching over to the new parts that they phased in. Despite looking like a Bass 2, this does have the internals of a Bass 3, that being the combined volume and on-off potentiometer, the 3 tone controls, the flathead screwdriver adjustable pitch control, and then the percussion potentiometer, and then it also pulls out to be the sustain control, either being a total sustain once the key is pressed, or a drop off once the key is pressed, pushed in. Now, as you'll see on my model, the plastic housing is prone to cracking, and I've seen a lot of these models crack in photos I've seen online. Luckily, my Bass 3 came with a handy leather carrying case, which has a really cool inside canvas texture and really just fits the vibe. You know, going to a German bar with your little Bass 3 and your fancy little leather case, walking in like a little briefcase. That's the 60s vibe. Now, what I also find really cool about this keyboard is the threaded bottom attachment. This would allow you to screw in either a tripod mount or some sort of 3-legged bass so it can sit above or stand if you were just a solo key bassist, because apparently those were really popular back then. That being said, it is a really weird screw size, and I have a hard time finding any tripod mounts that actually fit it, which is pretty disappointing. Now, the keys are full-sized, though the plastic synthesizer feel of them is leaving a little bit to be desired, at least from me, but I am not a synthesizer player, nor a big combo organ girl. The tone controls are simple enough. You have a guitar, string, and tuba, which can only be actuated one at a time, and the guitar and string sound pretty much the same, but your tuba has that nice bassy low end, which I personally like the most. The rightmost potentiometer controls how long the sustain is after the key press, but if you pull that out, the key press will sustain indefinitely. This is a really easy keyboard to run. All you need is a 12-volt center negative DC power adapter with a barrel plug to power it, and then for the output, it's just a 1/4-inch jack. When I got this model, there were a few issues. One, some of the keys were not actuating real well, and the note was wobbling off. Second, the rightmost potentiometer was not working at all, and at the time, I didn't even know it pulled out. So I opened it up and I tried to see what was going on, and I was actually able to fix the key portion of that, but I left the electronic side to the pros. It turns out this keyboard is ran on little metal wires underneath the keys that contact each other when being pressed or depressed. Over time, these little metal wires can get corroded or have some sort of film on them that would prevent a solid and clean electrical connection going through and causing that warble of the key. All this needed was a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of deoxit to get all that oxide off of it, and they were working great. What I later found out about the rightmost potentiometer was a few of the capacitors were failing, being about 45 years old now, and he had to replace those, but now it works really great, even though I don't personally find that rightmost potentiometer pretty useful. Now, back in the day, I used to make some pretty opinionated videos about the keyboards I'd review, particularly how I don't like them and how they frustrate me, particularly with repair, but even with just playing in general. And I'm starting to regret those videos a little bit because sometimes I'm coming back to them and I'm really liking them, and other times I just feel bad putting other people down for the keyboards they like to play. So this segment of this video won't be so much me shitting on it, but just why I don't personally like playing this particular keyboard. The two things I like about keyboards are things that move in them and their sound. And frankly, I don't like either of these that come from this keyboard. One, the feel isn't there. The all synthesis-based electronics just don't do it for me. And the monophonic play style does not fit my left-hand bass style at all. With how poorly I play piano, I rely on those little bass jumps a lot, and it's a really weird feeling learning how to just play one key at a time, and it really trips you up if you're not used to it. Granted, if you have a cool little pedal system and use this as a synthesizer bass, this would probably be really cool for you, and it's just not really something for me that is more of a traditional, or at least maybe a bad piano player. I also find the really deep bass not really fitting of my play style, and all the other sounds I tried to compare it with or put it with keyboard-wise, it just really sticks out, and I want a little more softer, upright, or even electric bass feel, not so much like a deep synthwave kind of drone bass. Now that I said all that, I am selling this keyboard. And if you've seen this anytime in the next few months, it probably will be for sale. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description or the comment section, and you can check that out. It will be shippable since it's so small, and I'll try to leave it for a reasonable price, but the repair I did on it, at least what I paid for electronic-wise, was a little bit, so I had to compensate for that. But I hope somebody else enjoys this more than I will, and they'll use it probably a lot more than I did. Now to get to the part you're all here for, the next few demos will be based straight from the 1/4" jack into my Zoom recorder, and I might be pairing it with a few keyboards to see how it kind of fares in relation to a more traditional electromechanical keyboard. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more keyboards like this, you can click my channel because I have a shit ton of them.